Your Humanities Half-hour is brought to you by the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
Hafidades Antero, welcome to your Humanities Half-hour. I'm Catherine Perry. The 75th anniversary of the battles of Saipan and Tinian will be commemorated this month, June 2019. And in recognition of that, today we'll be continuing our series from a few weeks ago, featuring interviews with World War II veterans who served in the Pacific Theater. Andre Chappaz served in the 1885th Aviation Engineer Battalion of the Army. His battalion was responsible for building airfields on Guam for B-29s, and his company also performed patrols to search for Japanese in the caves and cliffs across Guam. We caught up with Mr. Chappaz on the go while he was in the Marianas in March of this year on a veterans tour. Here now is his story.
My name is Andre Chappaz. On December 7, 1941, we lived in San Francisco. My father was in a hotel business. He had a small hotel, 50, 60 rooms. And on December 7th, we were in the kitchen. We just almost finished lunch, and I was listening to a musical program. Andre Castellanos, he had an orchestra. He's very famous. I think it was either sponsored by Coca-Cola or Party Pack Cola. It was a cola that was popular in those days. When the announcement came through that the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor, and I was going to art school at the time. I gotten a scholarship from high school, and it was a scholarship to one of the better art schools in San Francisco. And while I was there, the war was on, and an officer came through, and I had a friend there named Harold, and we used to discuss, because the war was on, and eventually we would be called, we were wondering where, did we have any choice in where we wanted to serve, or what outfit we wanted to be in. So one day an officer came through, and he was collecting artists. He was building a headquarters company. They were going to be connected to an army headquarters, and they would do graphics. So my friend Harold, who was 1 year older than I was, he jumped at it. Oh, this is, at least I can do something that I'm good at. So I said, hey, I'd like to get in with you. You know, it'd be great. We'd be buddies. We'd do the war together. And so I saw Captain Watson, and he said, well, no, we can't take you right now because you're only 17. So he said, well, I'll tell you what you do. I'm going to put you on the list. When you get to be 18, you rush down to your draft board and you ask for a voluntary induction. And then you will be eventually mustered into our unit. I said, that's fine. So I waited a year. I got to be 18. I was down to the draft board. And I took my physical. I spent all day naked, climbing up and down this building at the bottom of Market Street as they're investigating you. Psychiatrists asking you if you like girls. So I went to my reception center, was at the Presidio of Monterey. From there I was assigned to, I was interviewed, and then I was assigned to Hamilton Field, north of Chicago. So I went there, and it was an Air Force base. And of course, the Air Force base always feed their men very, very well. and they put me in casual barracks. Those are barracks where men are being mustered out of service because of medical reasons, or they had an enlistment was over and whatever. So the days went by, everybody forgot about me, you know. I was out there several weeks, and I thought, oh man, if this war is going to be like this is great. And then one day I got called by a corporal, and he said, Private Chappaz, I was suspicious there. I was going to get a hit, you know. He said, well, you know, the unit you wanted to get in, sorry, you can't get in because you haven't had any basic training. And they've been training for 8 months, several months, 8 months. So they cut orders for me, and they sent me to Southern California, where they were forming engineer units to build airfields. We were similar to the Seabees. So I didn't do any artwork. I did do artwork on my own when I had time off from my experiences. So see, at the time, I was just an innocent enlisted man. You know, I just obeyed orders. But the Pentagon already was developing this bomber, the B-29, and they're going to build airfields someplace. And they had to figure out how they're going to attack Japan, whether they're going to do it from China or from the Marianas. The Marianas was much more practical and easier. I'd been in China, you had to fly over Japanese territory to get gasoline, spare parts, and whatever. So they chose the Marianas. So that we didn't know at the time. This is all, you know, in retrospect. So I took basic training in the desert, and you know, today the infantry in the Marine Corps, they get 10, 16 weeks basic training. We only got 6 because they needed to build units quickly. You know, we were not prepared when the war started. You know, we had really no Air Force, no Army, no Armored Division, you know, no, and so they did it very quickly. And so, yeah, and then they sent us to Florida so we could get more. They sent us in the woods. We were isolated from everybody. They wanted to get us used to be, you know, outdoors. And every day we wore our rifle, we wore our helmets, we carried the M1 rifle. The M1 is heavy, so you had to get your shoulder used to carry it. So we were there, I guess, a few more months, and after that we got on the train and we aimed for Seattle, the port of embarkation. We left there on the same day that they landed in Europe on D-Day, June 6th. We were in Hawaii for about a month, then we load up again, and they didn't tell us where we were going. In a month later, they put us aboard a troop ship, and we were heading for the Marianas. The Marines were already ahead of us. We were following the Marines. And the Marines had problems, so we had to stop in Kwajalein, in Eniwetok, and wait. It took us 41 days to get to Guam. We were in bad shape. I mean, the food was not too good aboard the ship. We were sweating all the time, and we landed on Guam. And they put us. We bivouacked under a coconut grove there. It was a hellhole. I mean, there was the smell of death. A lot of Japanese had been killed, and they were half buried. And it rained, and we were always wet. Getting any better? Either from the heat, you know, or from the rain, you know, and we all came down with dengue fever, dysentery, heat exhaustion. We got wiped out. So
Holler if it gets worse.
they moved us to Tumon Bay. It's funny. I saw Tumon Bay. I couldn't recognize it. There was nothing there. There was just coconut, a line of coconut by the beach there, and then it was flat, just flat, and there was some coconut trees where we camped, but it was nice. It was beautiful compared to where we've been staying before, and then. Yeah, we knew then that we had to build airfields for the B-29. Once we got away from civilization, they could tell us because we couldn't blab it to anybody else. So we started working, and I was just a private, so the heavy work was done by the guys who could drive bulldozers and earth moving equipment. But one of the first jobs I had to do was to locate unexploded ordnance before they brought the bulldozers over. Otherwise they'd blow up. So that was my first job, And
how do you do that?
Pardon me?
How do you do that?
Well, they lined us up in a line. We took our rifles, fixed bayonets, and then we moved forward and we prodded the ground. And wherever we hit anything, they marched it on a chart. And later on, another crew would come by, extricate it, and then dump it in the ocean, in the Mariana Trench. See?
So while you're shoving your bayonet into the ground, isn't there a chance you might trigger some?
Yeah. Well, you're expendable.
This is your Humanities Half Hour. We'll be back with more after this break.
The Northern Marianas Humanities Council invites you to the 75th anniversaries of the Battles of Saipan and Tinian multimedia exhibit from June 12 to July 14, featuring never-before-seen photos and footage of the people of the Marianas during the battles in 1944. Photos will be exhibited at the Northern Mariana Islands Museum of History and Culture, and footage will be screened at the American Memorial Park. Join us in commemorating the resiliency of the Marianas peoples at this historic exhibit from June 12 to July 14.
Did you know that you can donate up to $5,000 to the Humanities Council through the CNMI Education Tax Credit Program? Donations from individuals and corporations qualify and can be used to offset your local wage and salary tax, BGRT, and earnings tax. Call our office at 235-4785 to see how you can support humanities programs in our community and obtain a tax credit for your donation. Sizuus Maasi, Olomai, and thank you.
Welcome back to your Humanities Half Hour. Let's continue our interview with Andre Chappaz regarding his service during World War II in the Pacific Theater.
So, another job we had to do. I did a lot of laboring work. Nothing they're going to make a movie about, but things that have to be done. Like when you land on an island and those LSTs come up. They unload. They got lumber, diesel fuel, or aviation fuel, food, spare parts for tanks, for trucks. Everything. So somebody's got to take that stuff on the beach and put it on a truck so they can ship it somewhere in the island. They'll have a dump for tires, dump for fuel. So I did a lot of that work, and then. We had to go. We needed water for the airfield. So the Guamanians told us where they were wells in the water. So we went. It was where the Japanese were still holding out. There was like a cove right off the beach.
Yeah, we gotta get.
And the only way you could get down there is to go down the cliff, or come in toward the seaside. We went down the cliffs. And I was there on every patrol that went down to the wells, and so we found we found the well. It was a big hole in the ground. It was around 30, 40 feet in the ground. It was all hollowed up by the water, you know. And I never tasted water that was that sweet. It was so soft, you know. It was sweet. So I was on there for quite some time. Every patrol that I went on, I was with them. And one at night, we were always on guard. Because Japanese were moving at night, you know. And one night I was off duty, and I heard the guns go off. I could tell the carbine, the M1, and the Thompson. And so I grabbed my rifle and I rushed to where the firing was. But then I told myself, I'm going to see bodies in the dark moving. If the Japanese broke through, how am I going to know which is one of our guys? So I stopped. I stopped where I was, and then I waited, and the firing stopped, and then Big Willie, he was one of the guys, a big tall guy, he came in, he had a machine gun, and I said, well, what happened? He said, well, we got a couple of Japs. And it seemed like our guard heard some noise in front, and he turned his flashlight on, and there were 3 Japanese standing there. And instead of running back the way they came from, they ran towards us, and our guards started shooting at them, and one of them, he had a grenade, and instead of turning the grenade and throwing it at our guys, he pushed the plunger, pushed it to his chest, and his buddy hugged him, and they blew themselves up. Next day, we noticed on the jungle there was some blood. There was another guy there. And so we sent 3 men out to trace the blood. We never found him, but we came upon the body of 2 Guamanians. They've been dead for some time, but their heads have been cut off. So we know the Japanese had done that. So we suspected that when they lost the battle, they took these Guamanians to hide supplies in the caves, like rice and whatever, and then they killed them so they wouldn't reveal where they were, you know. So we finished our job there, and there were 4 battalions whose duty was to build airfields on Guam. There was the 1884, 1885, which was my unit, 1886, and the 1889. And so after the airfields we worked on 3 airfields: Harmon, Northfield, and Northwestfield. And afterwards we were assigned to go to Okinawa. We were going to work there, but basically we were there for the invasion of Japan. So then the bomb hit in August. The war was over, and but in October we got hit by a typhoon. There it's typhoon season in October on Okinawa. 130 miles an hour, and we were in tents, and it just cracked us on the face of the earth, you know. And our men. That's when I admired the men. You know, the guys I work with. We hid in the Japanese fortifications during the typhoon. My tent was destroyed, and when we came back in the morning after, when the wind ceased, everything was in the mud. All the 2x4s and the canvas, you know. But you know what our guys did? Nobody gave them any orders. They went to work. The carpenters, they went in there and they retrieved the 2x4, they spliced them, and recreated the frames, and then they took what was left of the canvas, and they managed to cover. It was so, in 2 or 3 days, we had our camp back. I mean, these guys, I had admiration for them because they were good. And so we stayed there through Christmas. And then into 1946. Then in 1946 we came back in February 46. Yeah, and, it was a great experience for me. Like I said, it made me, made me appreciate life. Glad to be alive, Well, when I was in that valley there, in that foxhole, after the Japanese were killed, we knew there was a colonel with 30 men holding out in a hole there, and I thought they were going to come and get us one night, There was only 6 or 8 of us, so 30 men are against 8. We wouldn't have had much of a chance if they charged us, So I thought one night when I was on guard, I heard noise like somebody's crawling towards, and I knew if they charged us, I get the distance was so close, If they charged us, they'd be on us in probably 4 seconds. I'd have only time to shoot one by that time. I'm dead. I'm dead. All they got to do, once they know where I am, take a grenade, throw the grenade. I'm finished. So I got scared. I thought I only had 5 minutes to live. If it came down to shooting, I only 5 minutes to live. So yeah, I'm glad to be alive. Yeah. So.
As a member of the greatest generation of America, what would you want to say to the generations that have come after you, based on the experience that you've had as a World War II veteran and what you've learned in your life?
Support your country, support your society, and don't get into bad habits like getting into drugs, because drugs will only weaken you as an individual and weaken the fabric of your country and become a problem. And you become a problem to yourself and to your society and to your country, and it's a sign of weakness. And it only it only gives incentive to people who have designs on us to show weakness. You cannot show weakness, and then we cannot be disunited. We cannot be fighting against each other, because of politics and strictly politics, where they seem to concentrate just on the politics, not what it's doing to the common day order, to the civilization, And no, we have to remain strong, not physically but morally. I'm amazed the way I see, they're bringing in drugs and making it, it's normal, it's casual. They're going to disguise it, put it in everything. I think it's exciting to be alive. Why do you need drugs to get a feeling that you're alive?
We've been listening to an interview conducted in March 2019 with Andrew Chappaz, a World War II veteran who served in the Pacific Theater, including on Guam. He was in the Marianas in March of this year as part of a veterans tour, and I would like to thank Executive Director Donnie Edwards of the Best Defense Foundation and Gordon Marciano of Pacific Development, Inc. for facilitating our chat with Mr. Chappaz. We'd love to hear your thoughts on our chat with him today. Contact us at northernmarianashumanities.org or on Facebook at 670 Humanities. If you'd like to hear the show again or share it, please visit the Council's YouTube channel. This has been your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry.
This program was supported by a We the People grant awarded to the Northern Marianas Humanities Council from the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities or the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.